I can't believe we're finally moving to Lagos. I am so happy that we finally left the village. Lagos be nice to us. We are in Lagos. Lagos be nice to us. Yes, so I'm so excited. Look at all this life. I know, right? Lagos, here we come.
What would you do if your apartment started whispering your roommate's name at 3 a.m.? This is the story of two girls who rented the wrong apartment in Lagos. They thought they were escaping poverty, but they walked straight into something worse. The city of Lagos never sleeps, but in one forgotten apartment on the 6th floor, something else was awake. From the 6th floor of a cracked apartment building, Zainab watched the city breathe. She had learned earlier that cities did not care about people. They swallowed you whole if you were not careful. Zainab grew up in a small village where mornings started with fetching water before sunrise and nights ended under leaking roofs. Her father was a struggling tailor, a good man, but always behind on everything: rent, school fees, even hope. Her mother sold vegetables by the roadside, counting coins that never became enough. Zainab was the first daughter, which meant responsibility before dreams. She wanted more than their small town could offer. She wanted Lagos, not real Lagos, the version she imagined at night: tall buildings, steady jobs, and money that did not disappear the moment it arrived. Kamsi's home was louder, but not happier. Her father was a mechanic who believed suffering built character. Her mother believed prayers would fix everything. But prayers did not pay school fees. Kamsi was always too ambitious. In her father's words, she asked too many questions, dreamed too far. She was already mentally in Lagos before she ever left, scrolling on her phone at night, watching videos of girls living soft life, telling herself, one day, that will be me. It was evening in their small village. Rain had started suddenly, forcing people to run for shelter. Zainab stood under the rusty roof of a small bus stop, clutching a nylon bag to her chest. Her slippers were muddy, and her eyes were swollen from crying. That morning, her father had argued with her mother again about money. There was never enough food, never enough peace. Her father worked as a tailor in the village market, repairing old clothes because nobody could afford new ones. Her mother sold vegetables by the roadside from sunrise until dark. Yet, most nights, they still slept hungry. Zainab was tired of hearing the same sentence every week. Things will get better, because they never did. That was the evening she met Kamsi. Kamsi arrived soaked from the rain, breathing heavily after running down the road. Unlike Zainab, she wasn't crying. She was angry. Her father wanted her to stop dreaming like a city girl and settle down in the village. He believed Lagos corrupt women. Her mother prayed constantly for peace in the house, but prayers never stopped the shouting. Kamsi wanted more, not marriage, not survival, more. At first, the girls barely spoke. Then, Kamsi laughed suddenly and said, "Imagine suffering this much and still being broke." Zainab laughed despite herself. That was the beginning of their friendship. After that day, they started seeing each other often, fetching water, buying food at the market, charging phones at the only shop with suitable electricity. Slowly, friendship formed between them, not because life was good, but because both of them understood what it meant to feel trapped. At night, they would sit outside and talk about Lagos. Not the real Lagos, the fantasy version. Bright lights, big apartments, good jobs, soft life, freedom. They watched videos on Kamsi's cracked phone for hours. Girls taking selfies in beautiful rooms, eating expensive food, laughing like life had never hurt them. Sometimes Zinab would whisper, "One day we will leave this place." And Kamsi would whisper, "Together." That word mattered, together, because both girls were afraid of becoming lost alone. Months later, things became worse in their small village. Zinab's younger brothers stopped attending school because her parents couldn't pay school fees anymore. Kamsi's father threatened to send her away, to live with relatives, if she did not behave like a proper woman. That was the moment they made the decision to travel to Lagos. Neither of their families supported the idea. Zainab's mom cried the night before she left. Kamsi's father refused to say goodbye. But by dawn, both girls were already inside an overcrowded bus headed towards the city they had spent years fantasizing about. The journey took hours. The bus smelled of sweat and petrol, but neither of them cared. As Lagos slowly appeared through the dusty windows, their hearts raced with excitement. Tall buildings, busy roads, movement everywhere. It felt like opportunity, like escape, like the beginning of a better life. Neither of them knew the city was not the only thing waiting for them. The apartment was already waiting too. When Zinab and Kamsi arrived in Lagos, it was almost midnight. The city looked nothing like the videos they watched. It was louder, faster, and busy. Yellow buses screamed past them. Street lights flickered above crowded roads. Everywhere they looked, people were moving like they were chasing something invisible. For a moment, both girls stood silently at the bus park, holding their bags tightly. This was the Lagos they had dreamed about for years. But standing there now, tired and hungry, it suddenly felt too big for them. "What do we do now?" Zinab asked quietly. Kamsi tried to sound confident. That first night, they had nowhere to sleep, no relatives, no connections, no money for hotel, only fear and stubborn hope. After wandering for hours, they found a small church tucked between two buildings near a noisy street. A fading sign above the gate reads, "St. Peter's Deliverance Ministry." The church was still open because of an overnight prayer program. Exhausted people filled the plastic chairs, while soft worship music played through old speakers. The pastor noticed the girls sitting outside with their bags and tired faces. "You girls just arrived in Lagos?" he asked gently. They nodded. The pastor signed like he had seen the story too many times before. He allowed them sleep inside the church hall for the night. That became the first shelter in Lagos. The floor was hard. Mosquitoes whined endlessly. But for the first time since leaving the village, they felt safe. One night became 3. 3 became 2 weeks. Soon, they realized the church was full of girls like them. Girls who had come to Lagos chasing jobs, freedom, or simple escape. Some slept on benches. Some slept on wrappers spread across the floor. Some cried quietly at night when they thought nobody could hear. Every morning, Zinab and Kamsi left the church searching for jobs. They worked for hours under the hot sun, asking shops, restaurants, and saloons if they needed workers. Most people ignored them. Others promised to call later. Nobody ever called. Still, they refused to return home because going back meant failure. Kamsi pulled out her phone and began scrolling through apartment listings. Most were fake, others were too expensive. Then she suddenly stopped. There, she whispered. Zinab leaned closer. The listing looked strange, too cheap, too easy. No inspections required, cash payments only, immediate moving. The apartment was on the 6th floor of an old building, hidden deep inside a quiet street. Zinab felt uneasy immediately. Why is it so cheap? She asked. Kamsi shrugged. Maybe God finally remembered us. They called the number. A man answered immediately. No questions, no documents, no agreement, just payment. The next afternoon, they carried their bags up 6 flights of stairs into apartment 6B. The hallway was silent, too silent. The building itself looked old and tired, with cracked walls and flickering lights. But the apartment inside looked strangely untouched. Clean, cold, waiting. For the first time since arriving in Lagos, the girls finally believed their lives were changing. Neither of them noticed the faint scratches already carved into the kitchen wall beneath layers of paint, or the fact that the apartment felt less like a home and more like something that has been expecting them. After moving into the apartment, the girls finally found small jobs to survive. Zainab got work at a fashion store in Balogun Market, folding clothes from morning till evening while pretending her feet did not ache. Kamsi found a job at a small phone accessory shop where she spent her days selling chargers, earphones, and cheap phone cases to impatient customers. The pay was poor. The hours were long, but every night, as they climbed the stairs back to the apartment 6B together, laughing about difficult customers and sharing roadside food, they told themselves the struggle was finally worth it. For the first time since leaving the village, Lagos almost felt like home. The lights worked, the water rang, no neighbors complained, but slowly, things began to shift. Objects moved. The bathroom mirror fogged, even when no one showered. Sometimes, late at night, they heard footsteps pacing the corridor outside their door. Slow, deliberate steps that stopped exactly in front of their room. Yet, when they opened the door, nothing. Kamsi brushed it off. Old building, old pipes, old imagination. Zinab wanted to believe her. One evening, during a blackout, Zainab asked one of the older women selling food downstairs about the building. The woman went quiet immediately. "You girls live on the 6th floor?" she asked carefully. Zainab nodded. The woman lowered her voice. "That apartment has been empty for years." Zainab asked why. The woman hesitated. "Long ago, 2 sisters lived there after running away from home. Poor girls, always struggling. People said they loved each other too much to survive apart." "What happened to them?" Zainab asked. The woman looked towards the building. "One disappeared, and the other, she refused to leave. Until that night the phone rang. It was past midnight. Both girls froze. The apartment did not have a landline." Zainab stared at Kamsi. "Are you expecting a call?" Kamsi shook her head slowly. The ringing continued. Zainab picked it up with shaking hands. "Hello?" Silence. Then breathing. Deep, slow, familiar. "Leave." A woman's voice whispered. "This place remembers." The line went dead. Kamsi laughed too loudly. "Okay, that is not funny anymore." But that night, neither of them slept. The next morning, Zainab noticed something new on the wall behind the kitchen door. A message scratched into the paint. "We were two, also." Kamsi tried to scrub it off, but the words wouldn't fade. That evening, Kamsi did not come home. Her phone went straight to voicemail. Zainab waited and waited and waited. At 3 a.m., the footsteps returned. This time, they were inside the apartment. Zainab locked herself in the bedroom. Her heart pounding, she clutched her phone to her chest. The handle rattled softly, then stopped. A voice whispered from the other side of the door. Kamsi came back for what she owned. Zainab screamed. By morning, the apartment was silent. Kamsi was gone. No signs of struggle. No messages. No trace. The police came once, looked around, and left with bored faces. People disappear in cities, one officer said casually. Especially young women. Zainab knew the truth. The apartment has taken Kamsi. That night, Zainab couldn't sleep. She searched online for the building address. At first, nothing appeared. Then she found an old forum post buried deep online. An article from years ago. 2 young women missing from Lagos apartment. No bodies were ever found, but comments beneath the article chilled her blood. The apartment only takes people who come in pairs. One always disappears first. The other one always comes back. Then, one final comment. It feeds on people who are afraid of losing each other. Days passed, then weeks. Zainab stopped eating, stopped sleeping, stopped going out. Then one evening, as she sat on the floor, staring at the wall, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "You survived because you listened." She did not. Attached was a photo of the apartment years ago. 2 girls stood in the picture. Arms linked, smiling. They looked exactly like Zainab and Kamsi. Zainab packed nothing. She ran. She never looked back. Today, the apartment still stands. The listing still appears online from time to time. Cheap, quiet, immediate moving. And somewhere in the city, two girls are always looking for a fresh start. Zainab did not stop running until her lungs burned and her legs shook beneath her. She crossed streets without looking, bumped into strangers, and ignored the shouts behind her. Dawn found her sitting on the steps of a closed supermarket, hugging her knees, eyes wide and empty. The city moved on like nothing had happened. Buses honked, vendors shouted, life continued. Kamsi was gone. For days, Zainab drifted from place to place. Cheap hostels, crowded rooms, anywhere she could disappear into other people's noise. She deleted her social media accounts, changed her number, stopped answering calls from home. Sleep abandoned her. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the apartment, the cracked tiles, the whispering walls, the message scratched into the paint. We were two also. One night, she was exhausted. Zainab slept and dreamed she was back in the apartment. But it looked new. Fresh paint, bright lights, laughter echoing from the walls. Kamsi stood in the middle of the living room, smiling, dressed in white. You shouldn't have left me, Kamsi said gently. Zainab shook her head. You were not real. You couldn't be. Kamsi's smile slowly broke. I listened to you, she whispered, but you did not listen to me. The walls began to bleed. Zainab woke up screaming. The woman in the next bed stared at her like she was mad. By morning, Zainab knew one thing. Running was not enough. The apartment was not finished with her. 3 weeks later, Zainab did something she swore she shouldn't have done. She went back to the apartment. The building stood exactly as before. Tall, grey, pretending to be ordinary. Her legs trembled as she climbed the stairs to the 6th floor, apartment 6B. The door was slightly open. Zainab pushed it. The smell hit her first. Dust and something old, like forgotten memories. Inside the apartment looked untouched. The same chair, the same table, the same wall, except the writing had changed. One left, one must stay. Zainab's heart slammed against her ribs. You won, she whispered. I came back. Let Kamsi go. The lights flickered. A sound came from the bedroom. Breathing, slow, heavy. Zainab stepped back, but the door slammed shut behind her. The room grew colder. A voice filled the apartment, layered and broken like many voices speaking at once. This place was built on promises, it said. Two girls, best friends. Images flooded Zainab's mind. Two girls, years ago, just like them, running from poverty, from families, from fear. They had lived here, loved here, and died here. One tried to leave. The apartment did not allow that. We give shelter, the voice continued. In return, we are fed. Take me them. Just let her go. The laughter that followed shook the walls. She is already part of us. The bedroom door cracked open. Kamsi stepped out. But she was not whole. Her eyes were hollow. Her shadow moved wrong, lagging behind her body. Z, I tried to wait for you. Zinab sobbed. I'm sorry. Kamsi stepped closer. One of us has to stay. You know that. The floor beneath them cracked. The walls whispered. Zinab understood then. The apartment did not kill people. It trapped stories. It recycled pain. It survived on unfinished friendships. Zinab stood. She wiped her tears. I will stay, she said firmly. Let Kamsi go. The apartment went silent. For the first time, it hesitated. Kamsi screamed, No! Zinab turned to her. You still have a life. You still have a chance. Lights exploded through the room. When Zinab opened her eyes, she was standing outside the building. The sun was rising. The gate was locked. And Kamsi lay on the ground beside her, breathing, alive. Kamsi woke up in the hospital with no memory of what happened. Doctors called it trauma. Zinab never visited. She watched from afar as Kamsi healed, returned home, and rebuilt her life. As for Zinab, she never left the city. People say if you walk past a certain apartment building at night, you will see a girl at the window, staring down the stairs, watching, waiting, because the apartment still needs two people. And Zinab is making sure no one ever shares that room again. Life lessons. Not every cheap opportunity is a blessing. Sometimes, desperation opens doors when danger has been waiting behind. Young girls chasing survival in big cities should remember loneliness and desperation can make dangerous places look safe. Always tell someone where you live. Some secrets are too dangerous to carry alone. True friendship sometimes requires sacrifice, but not all sacrifices should be accepted blindly. Always question what feels too easy. This is the end of my story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe because somewhere out there, another door is waiting to be opened.